go live, and it always does this thing where it tells me that it's setting it up, and I don't know if I'm live yet. And then when I actually watch the video later, there's like a minute of silence of me like staring at the screen trying to figure out what's going on, but I think I am actually live now. Okay, welcome to Tea and New Book Tuesday. I am Lisa, I'll be your librarian. I don't know what I'm looking at. It's not what I want. So let me open this out. Do this and do that. Okay. Okay, hello. For today's episode, I am enjoying my Twinnings tea. I'm also going to show you my screen, which I will do by eventually hitting the right button someday. Today's episode is the last episode about new books of the year. We're going to talk about some nonfiction that I think is interesting and I didn't want to leave out, and some genre fiction, so science fiction, horror, fantasy, that kind of thing. We're also going to do something that I want to start doing at the end of every month. You guys have asked me for audiobooks throughout the whole time I've done Tea and New Book Tuesday, but the thing with audiobooks is we often don't order them until after we've pre-ordered the regular book, and sometimes even after it comes out. So when I see that we're buying a title, I don't necessarily know right away one way or the other if we're going to get the audiobook. So I've decided to add it to the end of every month. At the end of every month, I'll go back and look at everything I've explained to you, all the books that I've presented. And if it looks like we're buying the audiobook on any of them, then I'll mention it then. So today we're going to go over all of the January titles that I've discussed, all of the ones that are pre-ordered on audio. All right, let's share screen so you can see my slides. There we go. Now if they will let me I don't want to record. I just want to present. I don't understand. You guys are so obsessed with that. Okay. Welcome to Tea and New Book Tuesday. Today I'm drinking my Twinnings Winter Spice, which I think is actually up there, but it might not be on screen. Which is really nice, and I can drink it without any sugar in it, which is, as you know, an excuse to eat cookies. At Christmas time, any excuse will do. I was reading The Wife Upstairs, and I got bored and wasn't wanting to read it, so I decided to pick up something else and try it. And now I'm reading Christina Lauren's In a Holidays, which I talked about before it came out and has been really popular since it came out. I was just barely able to get a copy. But it's about a woman who keeps reliving her Christmas vacation over and over again, Groundhog Day style. I'm about halfway in. It's pretty good. It's a very easy read, you just sort of go through it real fast. And I will tell you what I think of that, probably not until January, because next week is going to be best of 2020. So the best titles we have to offer here at MPL that came out in 2020. All right, we have a very special giveaway. I had 3 really good giveaways and I couldn't pick between them. And because it's right before Christmas, I thought I might as well give them all away. So first up, we have Yellow Wife by Sadika Johnson. It's a historical novel set in pre-Civil War Virginia. We have Black Buck, which we discussed a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It is a satirical comedy about the American workplace. And also, this is a hardcover, and this is the actual book. The other 2 are ARCs. But the publisher sent me a copy of Michelangelo Matos's Can't Slow Down, How 1984 Became Pop's Blockbuster Year. This came out a couple weeks ago. Black Buck comes out January 5th, and Yellow Wife comes out January 12th. Because the holiday is coming up, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do the giveaway, I've decided to do it super fast. So I am only taking entries today. You need to write "I want to win" in the comments before 4 p.m. today Central Time, and the MPL location that you prefer for pickup. I will pick the winner and try to get the book in transit before I leave today. So hopefully it will arrive at whichever branch you've chosen by tomorrow. And you can come and pick it up whenever it's convenient for you after that. But I wanted to make sure I got it in place for you. And you could pick it up before we close for Christmas, because we're closed on the 24th and 25th. And Can't Slow Down in particular, which is about 80s pop music, probably makes a decent gift. That's another reason I really wanted to get that in the hands of the winner sometime, or as soon as possible. So yeah, all right, we've done that. Let's move on to January's Unforgettable Nonfiction. It is a weird mixed bag today. Interesting stuff, but not a lot of stuff that has anything to do with each other. Single and Forced to Mingle, a guide for nearly any socially awkward occasion, which feels like a very big promise, from Melissa Croce. This is about, or it's described as a laugh out loud funny tongue-in-cheek guidebook. It's supposed to help you navigate singledom, from uncomfortable questions with relatives to having to have a conversation with your ex. Yes, from dealing with well-meaning people, all sorts of things like that, but also things about like have quizzes to find a new hobby, or how to do your own tarot spread on a Saturday night alone. It also says that it celebrates the freedom of being free. If you're interested in Single and Forced to Mingle by Melissa Croce, it comes out January 5th. Nearly everything comes out January 5th. Don't know why. Okay, so this one's weird too, because it's not in Goodreads, and I don't think it's going to end up being the sort of book that you sit down and like read cover to cover. It's The Pandemic Pivot by John Pfeiffer. This is it is a report from the Institute for Policy Studies. They invited 68 of the world's leading thinkers and activists to participate in 8 in-depth discussions. They decided to focus ultimately on how they felt the world can and might change because of the COVID pandemic. We're getting a few copies, not a ton. I think we're only getting 3. And I don't know that this is something that's like a bedroom read, but I think by that I mean you would read it before you go to sleep at night. Although it might help you sleep. But I think it might be worth picking up and flipping through and seeing what they have to say. Or maybe just reading the end. But at any rate, it comes out January 5th. All right, this one I thought was interesting as soon as I saw the title. This is called Craft: An American History by Glenn Adamson. The author's written about history a lot, and he basically argues in this book that he feels like craftsmen and artisans have been central to the American identity at every stage of our development. We're told that the thing that moved our country, the thing that pushed our development forward, was sort of industry and innovation. But that doesn't count things like, Paul Revere was a silversmith. The protesters who participated in the Boston Tea Party were carpenters and blacksmiths. One of our most enduring symbols, the American flag, was made by someone who quilts. And another example of protest is that at the height of the AIDS crisis, they decided to make a quilt to express how many people had lost their lives to AIDS. Adamson argues that these artisan stories speak to our collective striving towards a more perfect union. From the beginning, America had to be, and still remains, crafted. If you're interested in crafted, there are no early reviews, by the way. There almost never are with nonfiction, but anyway, if you're interested in it, it comes out January 19th. All right, this is another one I was interested in as soon as I saw the title. It's called Land: How the Hunger for Ownership Shaped the Modern World, by Simon Winchester. So it is exactly what it says it is. As so often happens with nonfiction, it's a very good title. It explains to you exactly what's going to be in here. But he talks about how we've acquired land over the course of history, how we've shaped it, and how we have very occasionally shared it. He also wrote another popular book you might have heard of called The Professor and the Madman, A Tale of Murder, Insanity, and the Making of the Oxford English Dictionary, which is another good title. But if you're interested in land, it comes out January 19th. All right, and these two I just wanted to mention real quick because, I mean, if they're in your wheelhouse, or if there's something you really want to spend time thinking about, you want to know that they're out there. They are called Nobody's Normal: How Culture Created the Stigma of Mental Illness by Roy Richard Grinker, and Work Won't Love You Back: How Devotion to Our Jobs Keeps Us Exploited, Exhausted, and Alone by Sarah Jaffe. Nobody's Normal is drawing on cutting-edge science, historical archives, and cross-cultural research in Africa and Asia to present this portrait of how the stigma of mental illness has developed and how we can get past it. Work Won't Love You Back is, I'll redo this verbatim because I really liked how they put it. Doing what you love is a recipe for exploitation, creating a new tyranny of work in which we cheerily acquiesce to doing jobs that take over our lives. Sarah Jaffe has written other stuff on work and social movements, and this is one of the rare ones that actually has early reviews, not a ton of them, but some, and it's currently at above 4 stars on Goodreads, which is very good. If you're interested in either of these, they both come out on the same day. They come out January 26th. All right, let's move on to the genre fiction, because I think that's what many of us are here for. And as I've explained to you many times, that is my bag. All right. So let's start with Bloodline by Jess Laurie, which is, as best I can tell, and definitely based on the cover, horror. It's about a pregnant woman who follows her fiance back to his hometown. They're deciding to live there and stay there and possibly raise their family there. And it seems like the perfect small town until it starts to feel ever so slightly uncomfortable and she feels like things might be wrong. The neighbors' friendliness is getting a little intrusive. There seems to be an archaic organization that's practically controlling the town, and it starts to feel like she's being watched. Her fiance thinks she's paranoid, but she believes she may have moved to one of the deadliest small towns in America. There's also a note in the description of this that says it's ripped from the headlines. I don't know what real case they're referring to, though, based on the description. There are tons of early reviews on this one, and the current score on Goodreads is at 3.8 stars, which is pretty high. There we go. Okay. If you're interested in Bloodline by Jess Laurie, it comes out January 1st. All right. Across the Green Grass Fields by Seanan Mcguire. I'm a fan of Seanan Mcguire, although I've mostly read her stuff under the pseudonym Mira Grant because that's her horror. This is fantasy. It's also YA, but I think it might be a really fun book to read, or at least it sounds neat. It's about, it's technically considered book 6 of the Wayward Children series, and that series has won awards. It's worth pointing out that's considered a very good series, but this is a standalone within the same world. So it's about a young girl who discovers a portal to a world, a fantasy world that has horses and centaurs and unicorns, lots of very horse-based fantasy creatures. And humans in this world are expected to step up and be heroes. but she soon learns that not all heroes are equal and not all quests are as they might seem. The early reviews are putting this one at above 4 stars. Seanan Mcguire is a very popular author. If you want to read Across the Green Grass Fields, it comes out January 12th. All right. The Effort. This is a science fiction novel by Claire Holroyd, I think. Okay. So in this novel, a comet is coming to Earth. The impact could basically end all human life. So a team of scientists, engineers, and scholars are put together to figure out what to do. They can choose to try and prevent the annihilation of the human race or figure out how to help the human race come to terms with coming to an end. Their mission's code name is The Effort. It's been compared to Station 11. I think I also saw a comparison to Stephen King's The Stand, although big note on that one might be, I think it's compared to The Stand because it's a large cast of characters dealing with a world-ending threat. I don't know. The Stand ultimately comes to an almost spiritual place of good versus evil, and I don't get the impression for that from this book. But this is the author's first book. There are no early reviews, but if you're interested in it, it comes out January 12th. All right. We Could Be Heroes, which is another science fiction novel, this time by Mike Chen. This is about, okay. So we begin with Jamie, who wakes up with no memory of his past in an empty apartment. He does, however, have the ability to erase other people's memories, and he starts using that to rob banks. Then there's Zoe, who has super speed, but has been using that to deliver fast food during the day and put on a suit and beat up criminals all vigilante style at night. Zoe and Jamie meet in a memory loss support group and think that maybe they can help each other recover their lost memory and the information from their lives prior to losing their memory. On the way, they start to uncover a threat that puts countless people at risk. That's not explained any further than that. But they realize to save the day, they might have to join together and they might have to figure out how to trust each other. Chen is a really well-established science fiction author. The early reviews on this one, there's only a handful of them, but they're putting it at 3.8 stars, which is pretty good. If you're interested in We Could Be Heroes, it comes out January 26th. Okay. Faye Far Away by Helen Fisher. Our heroine is Faye, and she is happily married and devoted to her 2 daughters. She is especially devoted to her daughters because she lost her own mother at the age of 7. All of a sudden, she is transported back in time to 1977. She has the opportunity to meet her own mother and become friends with her as a peer. That's an amazing and a beautiful thing, and she comes to love her mother in a different way because, of course, they're meeting as adults. But it leaves her with the unimaginable, this unimaginable choice between staying with her mother in the moment, whom she obviously loves, or returning to the present with her daughter and her husband, who she also loves. It's been described as, as emotionally gripping and sweet, but it's also described as an exploration of grief. The early reviews are giving it over 4 stars. There aren't a ton of them, but they do seem to like it. This is a debut novel, so we don't have anything else by this author because this is her first book. It's recommended for people who enjoyed The Time Traveler's Wife and The Outlander. And it comes out January 26th. All right, let's do the audiobooks. Now, since I've discussed all of these, I'm not going to go into depth about what each one is about. There, as always, you can go to the Goodreads page. I've got all of these books linked to it so you can see the description the publisher put on there from there, and also reviews, from other Goodreads users. Let's see, starting up. We have James Gripando's 20, which is a Jack Switek novel. It's number 17. We're also getting Prodigal Son by Greg Hurwitz, which is an Orphan X novel. I think that's number 6 in that series. And Nick by Michael Ferris Smith, which is about Nick, who's the narrator of F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. We're also getting Saving Justice by James Comey. Jane Ann Krentz's All the Colors of Night, which is a series called the Fog Lake series. That's book 2. We also have book 1, The Vanishing, on audiobook if you're interested in that. That was the one that was about the cave explosion that gave people psychic powers. So yeah, we're getting that on audiobook. We're also getting The Last Queen, Elizabeth II's 70-year battle to save the House of Windsor by Clive Irving. But now you don't want to go forward when I touch the thing? Okay, well, that's how you're going to do that. White Feminism, From Suffragettes to Influencers and Who They Leave Behind by Kobeck, which was the one that discusses the women who got shut out of the women's movement and what to do about it. Also, Ida B. the Queen by Michelle Duster, The Extraordinary Life and Legacy of Ida B. Wells, which was about that civil rights icon and was lovingly written by her great-granddaughter. From today's episode, we are getting Single and Forced to Mingle, Land and Bloodline, all on audio. You can put a hold on these now. I'm pretty sure they're pre-ordered, so you can go ahead and put your hold on now if you would like to. All right, that's it for today's titles. Don't forget that if you want to win one of these 3 books, Yellow Wife, Black Buck, or Can't Slow Down, I want you to put I want to win in the comments below, along with your MPL location for pickup. Our Goodreads group is growing. We've got more people every day. And as always, I link every book that I discuss here in that group so that you can go and read more about it. I also add my own reviews there when I finish reading something. Our newsletter, MPL pre-orders, went out at 11 o'clock. It allows you to link from the newsletter directly to our catalog where you can put something on hold. And today it includes all the audiobooks as well. Our final thought for the day, Goodbye 2020. It was written by Stephen King. It was directed by Quentin Tarantino. Have a good week, guys. I'll see you next week for the best of 2020. And